Yeah, he says, Destiny and Chase, question, you both give great advice. Thank you. Destiny, I enjoy being my good, kind-hearted self. During my degenerate life, I got many women, but now I'm better-ish, and they ignore. Chase, I'm tempted to go back to church. How do you control sexual temptation? Do you want to address his comment first?
Don't control it. I think that sex is like alcohol, video games, whatever hobby you partake in. There are healthy ways to indulge in certain hobbies, and there are unhealthy ways to indulge, right? If talking to people, hooking up is something that you enjoy, just make sure you're safe. Make sure you're not like throwing away your life to do it. Make sure that you're, keeping the rest of your life in order while you're pursuing those things. Same thing I would say with drinking or gambling or anything else. Yeah.
Says you.
But I'm also not religious.
I want to address he was also asking me. Here's what I'll tell you, brother. The reason why I started being abstinent back in 2020, I saw the way that the world was going. It's my opinion that biblical prophecies are shaping up to be fulfilled right now. And I made the decision to be abstinent, to stop having sex with my girlfriend at the time, because I knew it was a sin against my own body, against her body, and against the Lord. And I also knew that I wanted to secure God's favor over my life. I wanted to honor God with my life, and I wanted God to reward me in turn for that. And quite honestly, he has, man, in spades. So I would just encourage you, seek to honor the Lord with your life. Pray to him for where it is that you want to go in life, what it is that you want. Jesus promised us in John chapter 15, if we pray for something in his name and it's to the Father's glory, he will give it to us. And you see throughout the Bible, there's a precedent. When people seek to honor the Lord with their lives, God is much more likely to answer their prayers. So that's what I would tell you.
Big W for God.
Yeah, can I?
What did you want to add?
Oh, I just wanted to say, as someone who does practice abstinence as a virgin, I do agree, because it's helped me weed a lot of bad people out. Because,
yes,
a lot of people have the wrong intentions when you first meet them, and they immediately want sex out of you. And when you do that, when you hook up with them, the first few times you get with them, it's they already see that you're...
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, though, right? Because I would argue, I'll probably have huge disagreements here, but I would argue that, men that are hunting virgins, sometimes they're looking for people that they can exploit as well, right?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah, I do think it is good, and I would argue... to some men's chagrin, I think that if you're a woman and you're looking for a serious relationship, how you treat sex has to be done in a very careful way. Yeah. Because if you're fucking a guy on the first date, it's really hard to figure out who's serious and who's just trying to play you or whatever, right? I'll hear some guys say oh, this chick didn't want to fuck until the 5th or 6th date. I'm fucking out of there. And it's okay, well, you were never in her dating pool anyway, because that's not what she's looking for. So I think that having some reasonable access to sex is okay if you're looking for something more serious, for sure.
You should probably build on that too, on how guys looking for conservative, decent women, these women are not going to give it up on the first, second, or third date.
Yeah, but I don't think guys here are ever looking for conservative women. They're looking for hoes with low body counts.
So you say guys.
So
here,
I agree with you
in the red pill manosphere space. You are
Yeah.
not. Here's the thing I'll give you, and I've come from religious communities, and this is true. And I don't know who will disagree with me here. There are some people that are on massive coke from the Tate industry that disagree with this. If you're a guy and you've ran through 20, 30, 40 women, the types of conservative women that you talk about are never going to want to be with you. And I know that we have some disagreements on, do women care about body count, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for a conservative woman, she's not going to be with a guy that wanted to be a fuckboy throughout all of his 20s. It's not going to happen.
But I think it would be, so I'll push back slightly on that and saying that I think it would be a larger disqualifier for a man looking at a woman who has a large body count than a woman looking at a man who has a large body count.
Certainly.
I don't know. I think it really
One thing, Destiny, we have your girlfriend in the chat.
Thank you.
Is she wearing glasses with no lenses on? That's the most important question right now. The pseudo-intellectual.
I want to add something on, Nev, to what you were saying. If this is my advice to all marriage-minded women out there, okay? To your point, if you're a woman and you want to get married and you want to find a guy who wants to marry you, who you will have a good marriage with, one of the best things that a young woman in your shoes can do is tell the guy, yeah, I'm going to wait until marriage to have sex. Because a guy who's truly interested in you for who you are and who loves you as a person and wants to spend the rest of their life with you, they're going to be cool with waiting until marriage to have sex. Now, there's going to be some guys out there. That are like, hey, I want to test drive the vehicle before I purchase it, right?
That's a really negative way to say it.
It's intentionally so.
Yeah, I know, but sex is a really important part of a relationship. It would fucking suck to marry somebody and then realize you guys are totally really sexually incompatible.
But there's also ways to go about having that conversation before actually getting married, where you can
but if you're both abstinent, you can't really know.
But you don't even really know what you like.
If you're both abstinent, you're not really having a conversation.
I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest. in the stage of my life where I'm at, where I'm looking for a wife, like I can tell, speaking to a woman, having conversations with her, like there's an energy exchange.
You
okay?
absolutely cannot tell if you're
I
bisexual
don't
about
think
it or
so.
not.
And also, how is
yes, I
she
can.
supposed
There's
to know if
I agree with him
there's
on
an
that.
energy
Okay,
exchange.
maybe if your
you can
standards for
tell.
good sex are really low.
Come on, no, you've never
he's
met a
talking
girl.
about
Oh wait,
just
hold on.
chemistry in
Destiny,
general.
Destiny.
Yes, it comes down to chemistry. Honestly, it comes down to chemistry. I've had girlfriends in the past where like I could tell based on the energy exchange that we were going to have a good sexual relationship, and I
Agree.
was
I
100%
super
correct when it
disagree.
happened.
You-
There are
never-
people that I've met that I've
Super
had
high.
like really like when we were hanging out like in public, really strong chemistry, and the sex was awful.
Horrible.
The
Why
worst
should-
I've ever had.
Why should sexual chemistry define the entire relationship?
I didn't say
It's
it
like-
should, but there
but
are
it's a
things that can
huge
be
part of the
there are things that can
relationship.
be like a necessary part, meaning it needs to be there, but it's not sufficient. It's not the whole relationship. So there are a lot of different things. So for instance, like good hygiene is not the only thing a relationship is about, but bad hygiene might be like an endpoint of a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think you should wait, because then you get to appreciate the qualities in a person more.
No,
But it
I'm
might
not
be
saying you
really
can't
bad.
appreciate, but what I'm saying is that like there's some level of sexual experience that you can bring to the table in a relationship, and there's some level of like sexual enjoyment that you're not going to know about until you've already sealed the deal on getting married. That might be a deal breaker further on, like for the relationship.
But I agree with his point that he's saying like, come on, because you've like felt a girl like, dude, this girl and me, like we fucking want each other.
I've fucked enough women at this point to know that I never, ever,
No.
ever assume how good she's going to be in bed, because I've had my mind blown with how bad some people are and with how good some people
Fair
are.
play, but you
Yeah.
have felt like that kind of sexual tension, like in a positive
But it
way
course,
has
for
between
nothing
sure.
to do
you
with
and
what the
another
But I'm
woman.
saying
sex
that doesn't.
actually
Sex
like
is
later on.
not to take away like the mystique of it, but like sex is a skill that you practice.
Yeah.
It's an attitude that you come in with it, and it's a deliberate improvement if you want to get better at it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So just like having chemistry, I've had like hardcore chemistry with some people, and then I've had some of the most awkward fucking. They're trying to move while you're trying to fuck. Their mouth is toothy as fuck when they're giving head. They're like, there's all sorts of like weird shit happening. Just chemistry alone is not
Yeah,
going
but
to make
you can
good at
communicate
sex.
about that in order to improve
Yeah,
it.
I-
I think
not
some
like a
people
fatal
just
list.
the only
get
the
better
point
at
I'm
it.
trying to
Like,
Let's say,
defend.
let's say, what if you get
you
with a
can.
girl and then you get married and then you find out afterwards she's like, I don't believe in oral sex.
You
Haram.
can have that
Based.
conversation with
Out
her
of there.
beforehand.
But
You
let's
could,
say
but,
she's gonna
you
say,
could,
I'm
but
never
you,
doing
wait,
it ever
wait, hold on,
again,
wait,
you know?
You could, but you don't know if that's going to be the case, because she might say like, oh yeah, that sounds like it'd be really fun, and then she tries it the first time your honeymoon night, and she's like, ooh, this isn't fun. I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Now
with,
you're like,
I
fucked.
think with sufficient communication, you can overcome that hurdle. And to go back to what we were saying a second ago, look, I've slept with 7 women. Every single one, like I could feel the energy exchange, and I already had an idea of what it was going to be like to be with them. I was right with every single one of them.
Okay.
So like, I think if you look, autistic people, like it's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's hard to like read the energy and stuff. But like, with that aside, you know, if you can read the person well, you do have.
I super disagree, but
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah.
also slept with more women than you have too.
Not,
so he
that's
probably
that's
is.
chill.
Oh, you had to bring that up. You had to
What's the
bring
body
that
count?
up.
Is that
What's the
are
body
you trying
count?
to own
My
me?
point is,
What's the body
who
count?
gave
Destiny?
your
What
set of
is the body
examples?
count?
Just
What's the
because you have
Destiny
your
body
7
count?
What's the body
examples
count?
doesn't mean
500
that it
plus
has like
easily.
that, dude, that's gonna be like every single time you're gonna sleep.
Yeah,
with
I know, and it's
someone,
going to be
right?
different for
But
other guys. They
dude,
might not be
yeah,
able to
okay.
read
But I
the
think
women
it's
that
a-
they're
it's
Yeah,
talking
but I
to.
don't
as
think you
a-
say that as a point.
Melina.
It's like every single time you sleep with someone that has to be like you just know unless you're autistic.
But
like,
I think there's like a general positive indicator of him being right. Like you can kind of meet
yeah,
someone.
but
I
autistic
underst-
people won't know. So
I
we
But
should
there's a
agree.
not talk
small,
about
it's a
autistic
small
I-
people.
percentage of the population.
I agree
mean,
with
that's an
Destiny
interesting
saying.
question,
I agree with
actually.
Destiny saying
Like
in the sense
autistic
like
people should like
you should
not
answer
marry
this question
after,
because you
know?
brought it up that Steven has more experience than he does. Who do you think would be better at sex right now, Steven or Chase?
I have no idea.
That's
definitely,
interesting
definitely.
You don't
Steven.
need- you don't need-
invoked
the Giga
experience.
Chad
Who
of
do
the
you think would be
panel.
better?
I don't think that it really has to do with
You
it.
don't
It's
need to
probably
answer
just more
that.
about like having the experience of like if you had chemistry with someone.
What?
If you had chemistry with someone in bed or versus like when you were, before you slept with them, because it is the case. Like if you had a lot of experience and you know that the case could be that you have a lot of chemistry at work, but then in bed it's like super awful,
What?
right?
I think
Like,
also I will
if you
say
had
too.
more
The original-
experience,
Wait,
you
wait,
know
I will
more
say,
about
hold
it.
on, but I will say too, that question is really revealing, okay? The 5 best sexual partners that I've had in my life were all the people that I were in the long-term relationships with. Some of the worst sexual experiences I've had in my life were people that I started
One-off.
off, right? My
Same.
first serious girlfriend in high school, when we started off, we were both fucking virgins, okay? It was the most awkward, horrible shit. And by the end, even still, those rank as like some of my best sexual experiences. But it's because we got to know each other and because we managed to have sexual
Right.
compatibility. We developed that through the relationship. Like on a one-night stand, like it's hard to know. Like one-night stands aren't even that fun sexually, depending on what you're looking for.
Unless you're sexually
So-
starved.
What?
Unless you're like sexually starved and like one.
Go
night
ahead,
I
Billy.
just-
Billy,
I
go
I
ahead,
can
bud.
agree that the longer you're with somebody, the better sex gets. So why is she not enough?
Why is she not enough? It's
Why
I mean
am I
like
enough, Steve?
it's kind of like
Yeah,
asking. It's kind
Steven.
of like if you've got like a close friend, but then you've got other friends. Like, well, why is that one friend not enough? Because in life, sometimes variety is fun. Sometimes I want to be with a girl that's Hispanic or Asian. Sometimes I want to be with somebody that is into
Marriage
something
is
that's
not
slightly
a
different.
friendship.
I
It is
didn't
not
say
the
marriage
same
was a
as
friendship, but
and it
marriage to
doesn't
me
have the
isn't
same
just about
boundaries as a
my
friend.
going in her vagina. There's a lot of aspects to my marriage that I share with my wife that's really unique to my wife that I don't share with other people. My
Yeah.
dick is just not one of those things.
Is it
I mean,
going?
that's
is
why
it,
some people say that emotional cheating is also a thing in marriage.
Sure, that's great. But
Do
I'm
you
just saying that
guys-
like there I think that there
There's a
are
level
some
of
things
closeness that's only appropriate between spouses.
in your opinion, which is fine. But there are some things that are fun to explore sexually with other people that not everybody might like. There might be some people that are into certain things that like I'm not into that she gets another guy. There might be some girls that are into certain things that they're into that she's not into. Like, so being able to explore sexually with other people is just a fun thing. If you're both okay with it, then yeah.
Okay, so this value of fun, it's a very interesting one that's been brought up, right? It's kind of like a chief value here in the discussion.
Sure.
And the question it begs in my mind is, God forbid this happens, will it be fun if this open relationship ends up causing things to fall apart down the line if one of you guys finds yourself in an entanglement, so to speak, with with somebody who you might find a deeper connection with than the other person? Like if that causes the relationship to fall apart, that probably wouldn't be very fun.
No, it would be horrible and it would be
Yeah.
sad. But monogamous relationships have the same issue,
same
right?
issue, yes.
How many times do you have like a man that falls in love with a coworker or a woman that falls in love with a friend that she spends too much time with? Like monogamous people have to put up a lot of boundaries in their relationships
They
too
do.
because
They
they
do.
worry about the same types of things, you know?
And
so
thi-
I mean,
and
like
this
I
is,
think
this is part of the
yeah.
reason why like that is so I was conceived by a man who had an extramarital
I would hope so. Oh, sorry.
extramarital
Okay.
affair.
Okay.
He had an extramarital affair with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and he was extremely in love with her, and he felt a deeper connection, from what I understand, with my mother than he did with his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why like we're trad Christians preaching the Christian gospel and the Christian way of life, because it's like, yes, people will, like in marriage, people will likely find somebody else at some point in time during the marriage that they feel a stronger connection with, but through embodying virtue, like you can shut down that impulse, you can resist that temptation and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, I personally think that that's a better approach than entertaining it, because what if someday one of you guys runs into somebody that you have a better emotional connection with? Like, what would you do then?
Again, I understand the question, but like monogamous people have this exact same problem.
They do,
what
but you can
rely,
guard against
what you
it
rely on,
with
yeah.
virtue.
But the guardian, in my opinion, is the history that you've built together, right? There is
Or
probably
the virtue that you choose to embody.
if that's how
I
you
think
want to
it's
do
the
it.
history.
Yeah, but there's like
Yeah.
there's
a lot of
probably
people
there's
with
probably
history that still cheat, though.
There's probably some woman out there that would be like a better match for me than Melina. There's probably
Watch
some
it.
guy. There's probably some guy out there that would be a better match for her than me. But we've got like 4.5 years up to now of history built together that we know.
And like our lifestyle works really well. We match
Yeah.
very well. We want the same things. Like
Yeah. So I think
Now-
part of what makes a relationship work is that relationships require a lot of deliberate work. They don't just happen and they don't just grow naturally. It's not for a little bit for the beginning, they do,
Like,
but they require like a lot of deliberate, like we're going to work on things, we're going to build on things, we're going to have this. And that thing that you build is part of what makes you romantically attracted to each other. Not in the honeymoon way, but in like this is a relationship that works kind of way. And that thing you can't find with other people. There might be a girl that I meet and I connect with in a ton of awesome
in
ways,
the
but it's like I don't
infatuation
know.
way.
But
yeah.
here's the thing about that. I mean,
Go for it.
you make a great point, but a lot of people,
course I do.
A lot of people build that foundation with one another over years and years. But like one of the things that happens with a lot of women, women are in many ways dominated by their emotions, right?
Men are
Men are
absolutely
the same
dominated by this, but go ahead.
we are, but like
It's
like
equal.
one of the things that you hear very often happens in marriages is like, there will be a bit of tension. Maybe the guy gets fired from his job. He's having a tough time finding a new one. He loses some of his confidence. She's like kind of got the ick from her husband for a bit, and then like some Chad comes into the picture and he's like, hey, and he talks to her, right, and then boom, she cheats. Happens all the time.
No, hold on.
I've heard it a million times.
Men cheat more than women.
Okay, yes.
So
you can
Yeah,
apply.
they
You
cheat
can
for
apply
different
it.
reasons,
You can
though.
apply it to both sexes, though.
Sure.
What I'm talking about, you can apply it to both sexes, and at that point in time, your history, your foundation doesn't matter. It all goes out the window the second that emotion.
Because-
Sure,
gets
but that would be
introduced
the
into
case
mix.
whether or not we were open or closed.
Yeah.
Right? If I lose all my confidence and I turn into a fucking loser and I just start smoking weed all day and play League of Legends, it's not like I'm going to rely on my monogamy to keep her trapped
also,
in the
I
house.
feel like it kind of helps like having an open relationship too, because you actually get to like taste the things that you're interested in that might not be like a relationship. Like you live with them or you want to have a future with them, right?
But is that sustainable?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you guys?
yeah,
do you
yeah.
guys-
I mean,
like,
Hold on, wait,
four or
don't we have
5
the
years?
longest relationship at this table so far?
You do, but
Sure.
but like, do you guys have a high degree of confidence that your marriage will last for decades?
I mean, I married her without a prenup, so I fucking hope so. Okay, or else this motherfucker's going to be...
I'm curious. I'm curious
Flip
what the
that
chat
out.
thinks.
No.
I'm curious what the chat thinks. Do you guys have a high degree of confidence that their marriage will go the distance? Let us know.
I mean, you shouldn't have a high degree of confidence in anybody's because even monogamous marriages have like a 50% fucking fail rate, right?
No, it's a big
Yeah,
change
but like
rate as well.
if you take, you know, again, to go back to the Christianity thing, if you really take your vows before God seriously and you're regularly attending church and like that's a really important thing to you, you know, you look at the data on that, the divorce rates are much lower than the average of the
I understand
population.
what you're saying, and it's hard to fight this because like it's hard without making it sound like an attack on your relationship, okay? But you're asking me a hard question. So like this is
Yeah.
how I view it personally, okay? I want my wife to be with me, not because I'm the only one she's allowed to fuck, and not because we made a promise in front of a sky fairy a long time ago that she has to be with me. I want her to be with me because she loves me, because she respects me, because she thinks I'm the coolest guy for her, and because all the things that I'm doing are things that are inspiring to her in her life. And with the way that our relationship works, I know that at every point we're with each other, it's because we match and exceed those expectations from each other, right? She will never think that like, the only reason Steven hasn't like left me for another woman is because, you know, he could go fuck somebody else, right? Because we can do that, but we're still with each other at the end of the day, right? That's like our marriage. That's how we view our relationship. If for some people vows and everything work, like that's cool, but I feel like with the type of lifestyle I lead, with the ways that I excel in my career, and with the ways that she's like growing and excelling in her career, I would hope that the reasons why we're together are more than just because of vows we took
transactional things.
some number of years ago. Yeah, that's my point of view, and I understand that's not for everybody, and some people do things differently. But then, like, I also see, and I know personal examples, I won't call them out, but where people have taken those vows and fuck. They're stuck in some miserable ass fucking relationships.
Yeah, happens
and
all the time.
Yeah, and they're like, well, I took this vow. I don't want to fucking do. If I'm Catholic, I have to get an annulment. It's gonna look bad in front of my whole family. And then you see these really sad people in their 30s, okay, that are like the rest of
And
my
they're
life
like
is gonna be relegated to this miserable fuck relationship, and I can't get out because I promised somebody that I wouldn't. And it's like, fuck, that's so sad, you know.
That's like so much worse than like anything else. I get
Yeah.
really sad whenever I see that.
I think the
feel for
problem
those
there
people
is
a
that they
lot.
took the vow in the first place. I think they didn't recognize how serious it was, where, you know, they jumped into this
Or
relationship with somebody.
sometimes you don't know
where they were
someone until
miserable.
you live with them for a little bit, and then you realize that this is not for me. But then they've like hardcore committed. Like I was a virgin before this. No one's gonna ever want me again. I'm religious. My parents are gonna hate me. Like, and then they're stuck in this relationship that might be really abusive. And then they're having kids, and they don't dare to divorce.
And this is where like
Yeah.
That's like a hyper niche example, though.
That's
This
not a hyper
happens
niche.
a
That's probably
lot.
one of
This
the norms.
happens
That's
a
probably
lot.
one of the norms.
I don't know.
This
You
happens
Absolutely.
a
You
lot.
have any sources, anything to back
Well,
that
look
up?
at the-
Doesn't
look at the
happen a
divorce
lot,
rates.
just based on the fact that like virgins, like people are not saving sex for marriage in general these days. Like that does not happen a lot.
Yeah, if you
No,
look at the
but
hold on,
period, that
if
does
you
not
look at the
happen a lot.
statistics, hold on. I'm sorry, this point needs to be made. If you look at the statistics on virgins who get married, they have a less than 2% divorce rate.
Yes,
Yeah.
but what if those marriases are abusive?
But
Yeah,
you
but
don't
they-
say-
but-
but-
okay, what does that have
this
anything
is
to
like
do
a
with it?
hypothetical situation,
No, but
but
the
it's like
thing is,
what
like,
what are the stats on how many
the
of those
reason
marriages
why
are
they're not
abusive?
divorcing is because of the pressure that they have from their families and from the
That's
what
an
culture
assumption.
that they come from.
That
That's an
is an
assumption.
assumption, but
Yes.
there's some percentage. I didn't bring
Yeah.
those
That's
stats,
good,
but I would
actually.
argue.
That's like good that that pressure's on there.
No,
probably.
that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good.
Why?
That's not
It
good.
is.
If it's
Yeah.
abusive,
No,
the
Because
relationship,
it's not.
Shame is a
It's
good
like
thing, and I
statistically
of
think
course it
Might
could
I
be.
remind you-
Abuse
could
has
be,
always
sure.
been considered grounds for divorce.
But-
Even
yeah.
after
One of the
that.
things
It's not-
with
no,
the
physical abuses. Physical abuses.
one of the things
but
with
like dudes are
It could
not
be
like
mental
lining
abuse as
up
well,
en
right?
masse to like their wives' asses. Like
It's
that's
not-
like
it's
that's
not
like
a common
not
thing.
like
It
like
doesn't
no
necessarily
because the
have to be
general thing in
abusive.
America, the general thing in America is like these feminists think like guys are like, all right, listen here, wife, you better fucking make some great tuna casserole. I'm gonna beat your fucking ass, and it's just like doesn't work.
No,
like
no,
that
no,
at
no.
all.
Hold on. Nobody,
It doesn't
nobody,
work
nobody
like that at
thinks
all.
that that's like what abuse looks
it's
like,
going
right?
on.
Like
No, I
that's
think-
like the
no, no,
most
no.
like straw man stereotype form of abuse.
Okay.
Right?
Do you guys know what abuse looks like?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah, I
okay,
do.
let
But
me
you guys
let
wanna
me.
get
We
into
don't,
no,
that?
no,
we don't
we're-
even have to go as
bro.
far as abusive.
Okay, that's cool.
Listening to Fresh's
Hey,
girlfriend.
hey, guys,
Let's get through the